Okay, we got it up and running. I still have to figure out how to get the intro to play on my videos, but this is the first video that I'm putting out, so we're still in the experimental stages here to get everything running. But the reason I wanted to do this particular video was because I've had some folks say that they would like to learn how to be a ham radio operator, but they don't know about the test and they don't know how intensive everything is, and they're just not really sure on how to proceed. So I'm going to try to shed a little light on that. I have been a ham radio operator since 1991. Yeah, I know. I'm either older than dirt or I got it when I was born. We'll just go with I got it when I was born. And if you believe that, well, I probably have a bridge I need to sell you. But the way I heard about ham radio was that one day my husband walked in and said, I'm going to be a ham radio operator. I've decided that I'm going to go and take the ham radio operator test and be a ham. And I know I must have given him about the most quizzical look that anybody has ever received in their life, because the only thing I knew about radio was about CBs, all the 10-4, good buddy lingo that those people used. Well, the first thing he did was to take me to a ham radio club meeting so that maybe I'd understand it a little bit better, not think that he'd lost his mind. Now, the best way to find a local ham radio club or amateur radio club is to look on the internet or Google for ham radio club or amateur radio club and the name of your city or county or state. I soon learned that ham radio is way more structured than CB radio. In order to be an operator, you have to pass a test and be licensed by the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC. You'll need a study guide to explain the radio theory and the FCC rules. The study guide will have the question pool for the test in the back of the book, complete with the answers to the questions, and it's all multiple choice. Now, you can order the book from Barnes & Nobles. I think that Amazon also carries it. If you've got any electronic stores in your area, you can probably get it from them. I know in Ohio, there's a place called R&L Electronics in Hamilton, Ohio. They will carry the book. There's also a place in Columbus, Ohio called Universal, and they will have the ham radio books. There's 3 books. Now, you start with the first category of ham radio license, and that's called the Technician Class Study Guide. Then the next class up would be the General Class, and the next class up is called Extra Class. When you go to take your test, you can test for all 3 of those categories if you're studied up to take them, but you really only need to start with your technical class or technician class to get your license, to get you started. Now, where would you go to take the test once you study up? Let's say you got your book, you read it, you studied it, you've taken the question pool, you're getting a consistent 80 or above on your tests, and you're ready to go take a test. Once you get that far, contact somebody in the local ham radio club, and they can tell you who gives tests. Some clubs do, some don't. Some clubs, when they give the test, you can just walk in the day of the test and take it. Others, you have to get an appointment or, get on the list so they know you're coming. Tell them what class license that you're going to be taking the test for. Some clubs charge a little bit, a few dollars for the privilege of you taking the test. Other clubs do not. So just ask around. And if the club that you get in touch with, they say, well, we don't give the test, ask them who does, because they'll know. They'll know what direction to point you in so that you can go take that test. The test is very easy. I was really amazed. Back in the day when I took mine, you also had to know Morse code and take a Morse code test in order to be a ham radio operator, but you don't have to do that anymore. If you want to learn the code and get a code key and go that route, you can do that, but you don't have to test for that anymore. The higher the class of license you get, you go the technician, the general, and then the extra. The higher class of license that you get, the more privileges that you get. So you can go to higher frequencies or more frequencies on the bands so that you can get more contacts. When you when you get into contesting, it might be a little more important for you to be able to get more privileges so that you make more contacts. But then it kind of depends on what bands, and you'll learn all about that when you study up about the different bands that you can get on, all the different things that you can do with ham radio. Ham radio is extremely interesting because there are so many different things you can do with it. There's packet radio, there's Racey's radio, there's just an abundance of different things, all different meters of bands that you can get on so that you can make contacts all over the world. I have my Worked All Continents Award, and I got that on 10 meters. And that was back in the day when 10 meters still was a little bit open. I think it's pretty much closed now, but and you'll learn what that means when you study up and you get to talking to ham radio operators, and you get a little bit more familiar with the lingo. So you just go take your test and get your license, because you're going to be amazed at how much you're going to learn and how many friends you're going to make, and the wealth of things that you can get involved in. One of the main reasons a lot of people want to get into ham radio is for emergency services. Say there is a tornado or a flood or an earthquake or something in the area that you're in, and you want to be able to assist with communications. The power's out, phones aren't working, cell towers are down, and they need to make communications. They need to get emergency services. They're going to need ambulances. They're going to need police. They're going to need fire departments. And you've got a ham radio operator or operator's license, and you're able to grab your handheld radio and be able to talk to people and get some help in. Clubs coordinate all different kinds of situations. They run mock drills and all that so that they're prepared in order to help in any kind of an emergency. It's just amazing what all that you'll be able to do. In the state of the world that we're in right now, you just never know what's going to happen next. You know, there's been talk of the president signing executive orders for martial law and all that. You just never know when something's going to happen, or the grid goes down, or, you know, whatever goes on, that you're going to need to have some type of communication. And amateur radio is a very, very good way, a reliable way to be able to get out and get conversations going or get communication going so that you're able to help. There's also all kinds of events that the clubs have. There is a thing that they have every June called Field Day, where a club will get together and they will run all kinds of equipment and generators that you get points for different things that you do on field day as a club, or even individuals do this too, to compete, and they run for points. And some people just do it for fun, but you see how many contacts that you can make in a 24-hour period there over field day weekend. And get in with the club now, because here we are at the end of May. Here in about 2 or 3 weeks, they're going to be having field day in these clubs, and you'll be able to go and participate and see what they do. Even if you're not licensed, you'll be sitting there with a licensed ham operator, and he will show you, or she will show you, how to work the radios and how to make contacts. And it's just a real good way to get a little bit of experience under your belt so that you know a little bit more about what the theory means when you're reading the book. There's other events and things that they have too, but I mentioned Field Day because it's just coming up right here around the corner. There's also all kinds of radio sale events, flea markets, and things that different clubs have all across the country, so that you can go and see the different kinds of equipment. You can talk to amateur radio operators. You can get their opinions about things, about different kinds of radios, because just like anything else, there's a myriad of different brands of radios that you can buy. Some like some brands better than others. I particularly prefer the Kenwood radio, and I have a Kenwood handheld radio that I like real well. I've also got a bass unit. I don't have it set up right now, but I do have a Kenwood bass unit, and I have an Alinco, and I have a Yaesu, and I think there's probably a couple other ones that I have too. You just never can have too many radios when you're an amateur radio operator. Another thing that you could do is join the Amateur Radio Relay League called the ARRL. They have a magazine that they put out, and it has a lot of interesting articles and advertisements that would be of interest to you as a ham radio operator. And once you pass the test, you're going to be issued a call sign from the FCC. And your paper license you can hang on the wall for everybody to view and put a copy of it in your wallet so that you always carry it with you wherever you go, just in case there's any questions about you being licensed. There's all kinds of helpful websites on the internet for ham radio operators. QRZ, or as we call it in ham radio, QRZ, QRZ.com. And I mentioned that one because it has a lot of great features, including practice tests where you can go and practice before your testing session for drilling to make sure you have the answers in your head. They also have some databases of U.S. hams. I don't think there's too many from other countries on there, but it's for U.S. hams, and they get their information from the FCC. And you can look them up by name. You can look them up by their call sign, and that'll show you, where they live. If say you're running some contest testing and you need to know where other ham radio operators live so that you see if you're getting contacts in the right areas. So that would probably be of interest. And some of the hams have pictures up of their what we call a ham shack, where they have their radios and their antennas and things shown so that you can see what they're doing at their house and get some ideas for what you might want to do at yours. So that's something that might be of interest. You're going to get to learn a lot about electronics. You're going to get to meet people from all over the world. You'll experience the variables of the bandwidths. Some of the bands will be open all the time. Some of the bands won't be open all the time. Some you kind of have to catch as catch can to see when you can make contacts on them. And that makes it kind of interesting to keep your ear tuned to the radio to see when the bands open up. You're going to get to help with emergency communications. If there is any kind of, just look around where you live. If there's ever been any kind of an emergency situation where you are and you need to get communications out, or you need to get help, or you know somebody that needs to get help and you're not a ham radio operator, you're going to know real quick how important it is to be able to get some kind of communication going. You never master everything that there is to do. If you lived a whole lifetime in ham radio, you'd never master everything that there is. You might get to dabble in everything, but you're not going to master it all. It's just something that is very interesting to be involved in. So I hope that this helped to get everybody going so that you know a little bit more about it. You can get radios that you set in your house that you can run. You can get radios in your vehicle that you can run. They call them mobile rigs. You can get the handhelds like mine, where you can carry it on your belt, take it in your purse, so that you always have some kind of a mode of communication. If you travel a whole lot, I know, we have cell phones, but as a lot of us know from some of the things that we've seen here in the last few months, cell service isn't available just every place. So it might be a little more important to be able to get your messages out over the airwaves than it is to depend on a cell phone tower. There's so much information that I can share with you about ham radio that I don't want to overwhelm you with it. I just want to give you a rough idea here in the video to give you some information to get you started. So your first step would probably be to get in touch with Barnes & Noble or Amazon or any of the companies that sell books and get your Technician's Class Study Guide for ham radio. Then you find your local ham radio club. You find out when their meetings are being held, what time, what day. Usually it's one day of the month. Here local, it's the third Tuesday of the month. And you find out where and what time so that you can go and meet people and ask questions and learn a little bit more about it. And that's how you get started. So with that, I'll go over here and see if I can see what's going on with the chat room, if I can find it. good golly, I don't know. Just trying to learn all this stuff on YouTube is enough to drive a person crazy. But yeah, it's not showing up here, so I hope, yeah, here it is. See if we can find out what's going on with it. And if the chat room's up, if anybody's on there listening. If I have any questions that I need to answer for you. Well, right now it looks like I'm alone, so that'll be okay. You'll get to watch it later, and if you have any questions, there's a little comment box down below. You can just leave your comments on there, and I'll be happy to get back to you and see if I can answer anything that I can or point you in the right direction. So with that, we'll bid you adieu for the day, and I thank you very much for watching.